Okay, I think it's fixed. I don't hear myself anymore. So yeah. Oh my god, that was so fucking frustrating. Oh god. Okay, so again, for sorry about that. I had to restart the stream, but yeah, for anybody who's new to the channel, again, my name is William. This is my wife Natalie. I'm gonna go over the intro again. I'm gonna try to go a little bit faster this time. Try to go over a little quick, but again, I'm gonna go over the two top proofs real quick. Again, for anybody who's new to the subject about the shape of the Earth. Again, this channel is mainly to debunk the globe Earth by understanding physics. So the reason why I go over the two top proofs at the beginning of these live stream is because a lot of channels out there that are flat Earth channels, especially the mainstream flat Earth channels, you know, they'll have hundreds of videos, they'll have, hours and hours and hours of live streaming, and they'll never emphasize on the physics that proves that the Earth is a level plane and debunks the globe Earth. So I'm going to do the opposite. In every video, I'm going to emphasize or go over the two top proofs. So the first proof that falsifies the globe Earth is the fact that there is no physical downwards acceleration in free fall. So gravity as a pulling force doesn't exist. And how do we debunk that claim? Well, it's easy. Again, a simple accelerometer like this, when it's contained, when you have a water and a buoyant object inside, the buoyant object will always react to the acceleration 100% of the time. 100% of the time, always. So the buoyant object will always get pushed in the direction of acceleration, regardless of the speed that you accelerate it. So when we go to the globe Earth claim of acceleration in free fall, let me go ahead and just share this real quick. Okay. Okay. Experiment. So again, this is an example, again, that I was just showing. The buoyant object will always react to the acceleration 100% of the time, regardless of what direction you actually accelerate. So when there's a force present, the buoyancy is always going to be there. So, and a buoyant object will always react to the acceleration by being pushed in the same direction of acceleration. However, when we go and test to see if free fall is actually acceleration down, we can prove to ourselves, again, the one on the left, there is no reaction to the acceleration whatsoever. The one on the right, the one I actually accelerate, shows the displacement, or in other words, buoyancy. Because again, if you're claiming acceleration of a container, then by default, if you have a buoyant object inside, or something, an object that's less dense than the medium that surrounds it, in this case, the ping pong ball is less dense than the water. When you accelerate this container, the water, again, because it has inertia, is always going to create a pressure gradient relative to the direction of the force, which by default is going to push anything that's less dense in that same direction. So again, when you actually apply a force and accelerate down or in any direction, the buoyant object is always going to react to that acceleration 100% of the time. However, in free fall, which is the one on the left, there is no reaction whatsoever. The buoyant object, in this case, the red ping pong ball, doesn't react to that force in free fall because there is no force. There is no downwards acceleration. And how does that debunk the globe Earth model? Well, again, if we could prove that there is no physical downwards acceleration from a globe Earth, if you're standing here again, and because up is relative on a ball, so if you're standing here, up is this way. If you're standing here, up is this way. Every direction away from the center is up. So if we could prove that it's not the object's accelerating down, but it's actually the Earth pushing up against you, then from the globe Earth, that wouldn't work. If the ground is moving up to the object and not the object moving down to the Earth, then that would mean the Earth will have to be extending at 9.8 meters per second squared, which is a ridiculous claim. That would mean the Earth will have to be growing by the second into the infinity, which will basically mean the globe Earth will explode, and it wouldn't work. So by falsifying the claim of objects accelerating down in free fall, we falsify the entire heliocentric model. So again, buoyancy, understanding the cause for buoyancy, which is acceleration or force or motion of a container, that will show you that there is no pulling force of gravity. And it's actually the Earth pushing up, because buoyancy shows us the direction of the force. And again, if we have a container like this, showing us when connected to the earth that there is a buoyant force up, that proves that it's the earth, literally pushing up against you and not pulling you down. Because also when we have a container like this, again, showing that buoyant force when connected to the earth, and we release it into free fall, that buoyant force, that upwards push vanishes. Because free fall, there is no force acting on it. So again, that's how easily we debunk gravity. It's understanding the cause and effects of acceleration and also the cause for buoyancy, which is only present when connected to the earth, showing that there's an upwards push. So you can't have acceleration without buoyancy, and you can't have buoyancy without a force present, in other words. And buoyancy shows you the direction of the force, which is up. If you release a helium balloon, again, it gets pushed up by the air, which is being pushed up by the ground. Buoyancy is a chain reaction of motion. And it's literally that simple to understand and to debunk the claim of gravity. Because again, gravity claims that there is this magical force accelerating objects down without any effects of acceleration, which again defies physics, because again, acceleration will always cause displacement of matter and will always push the buoyant object in the direction of the force. So that will be the number one proof to debunk the globe Earth. And I'll go over the number two real quick before I get on to the first video that I wanted to share. So the number two proof is the globe Earth claims a curvature rate of 8 inches per mile squared, because they claim to have satellites orbiting the Earth. So they need to know the radius of the Earth if they're supposedly going around it. So they do tell us the radius of the Earth is 3,959 miles. So using a simple calculation or formula like the Pythagorean theorem, we can calculate for this curvature drop how much curvature there should be every mile. So again, it's 8 inches per mile square, meaning in the first mile there's an 8-inch drop, second mile 32 inches, and by the third mile it should be 6 feet of curvature. So every mile that curvature increases, because they're not claiming a slope, they're claiming a curve. So in 10 miles, again, there should be 66 feet of curvature. So if we went to a giant lake that was miles across, 10 miles across, for example, we don't even need that much, but for the sake of showing this, but again, in 3 miles, they're claiming 6 feet of curvature. But if we went to a lake, again, we'll understand that water doesn't have the physical ability to hump when contained at rest. Water is always level, which means it's always horizontal. But they're trying to tell us that the surface of water is bending 8 inches per mile squared. So they're claiming that every lake on Earth is displaying this curvature, which is completely false. It can easily be falsified again by building a level structure over water that would show us that this curvature is impossible. Again, they're claiming that 5 feet in the first and at the start, that will increase to 11 feet, the gap between. But again, we understand water doesn't have the physical ability to do that. So again, understanding fluid dynamics, how water behaves when it's contained at rest, debunks the claim that the Earth has any curvature, in other words. So water's level, which is perpendicular to the motion vector, in other words. The globe Earth wants to claim that water is curved because of the downward force of gravity. But if we could debunk the downward force of gravity by default, again, we debunk the entire heliocentric model, and also the fact that water doesn't curve, because that's their explanation to why water level means curve, that it's gravity pulling it, towards the Earth and bending it and making it stick to the ball, which is creating that curvature of the water, which again, that's just an explanation. Practical physics will show not only that gravity is not a force that exists, and also that water doesn't have the physical ability to curve and maintain that curve, and yet alone stick, to the outer circumference of a ball, because water requires a container and a ball is not a container. So again, those are the two top proofs that debunk the globe Earth model, is the fact that there is no physical downward acceleration in free fall, and also that water, the physics of water shows when contained at rest that it's always going to be level. In other words, a horizontal plane, regardless of the scale. So that's that. Let me stop sharing. So let me just share this video. Again, not only does an analog accelerometer like this, again, water with a buoyant object inside, for example, that detects acceleration, We also have digital accelerometers, like in your smartphone. Everybody's smartphone has an accelerometer built in. So that is a device that also detects acceleration, and that also shows that there is no downward acceleration in free fall, and that the force of the Earth is up, not down. So let me go over this video. Let me present it. Let me share screen. Again, the link is there for anybody who wants to join the panel. If you want to come up, if you have any proofs, any physical proofs about that prove the globe Earth or a stationary flat Earth, please feel free to join. And please, you can share that with us. But yeah, let me get this. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Let's share this real quick. Okay, so I'll go over this video. I uploaded it like about a week ago or so, but I know most of you have seen it. But again, for anybody who hasn't seen it, this is a digital accelerometer showing that there is no physical downward acceleration and that the force of the Earth is up. A digital accelerometer is a device that detects the presence of a force or acceleration. For example, when at rest and connected to the Earth, it detects 1 g-force. As soon as I accelerate it from being at rest, the accelerometer detects that acceleration by increasing the g-force. Whether I accelerate it to the right, to the left, up, or down, the accelerometer will always detect the acceleration 100% of the time. However, the instant I put the accelerometer into freefall, it detects a deceleration. It goes from 1 g down to 0. If the accelerometer was accelerating down in freefall, it would detect that acceleration by increasing from 1 g, not decreasing. Not only does the accelerometer show that there's no detectable acceleration in freefall, it also shows that the vector or force of the Earth is up. When I switch to the vector tab of the accelerometer, we can see when at rest on Earth, it detects that the vector or force is down, as shown by the green line. However, the vector on the phone is inverted because when I apply a force to the right, the vector goes to the left. And when I apply a force to the left, the vector goes to the right. When I apply a force down, the vector inverts up. And when I apply a force up, the downwards vector increases, showing that the vector on the phone is inverted from the true direction of the force, or vector. So when the phone is at rest on the Earth and knowing that the vector is inverted, the direction of the force, or vector, is up. Also, when the accelerometer is in free fall, the vector completely vanishes, showing that it's not being accelerated down by any force, which proves that the force or vector of the Earth is up, not down. So again, not only do analog accelerometers, again, something like this, show that there is no force in free fall, everybody's smartphone, and meaning anybody can do that test for themselves and prove it to themselves, to show that there is no downward force of gravity, which is a requirement for the globe Earth model. So there is another video I wanted to share, again, just to emphasize the point. This is a video by Execrate 200. I guess I could share the link to the video for anybody that wants to check it out. Here, let me share the video, and I'm gonna go ahead and play it. So I guess let's play this. Am I sharing the tab? No, I'm not sharing it. I guess before I play it, I guess because it has to do this, has to do with this. So when I'm holding, for example, this level here, again, it could be, a 2x4, it could be anything, a stick or whatever. But if you're holding it, right, and you push this side up, by default, the other side gets pushed down. That's a fact. If you push this side up, then the other side gets pushed down. That's a fact. If you push this side up, then the other side gets pushed down. So just keep that in mind. When we're gonna watch this video. So let me go ahead and present. Okay, share. Okay, we'll let this one play through and then we could talk about it a bit.
So I have a number of items here. I just want to show their weights. Firstly, this piece of cork. And just averages 7 grams. This stick, 24 grams. And the socket, 73 grams. Now, note the surface area of these two things. At this piece of wood, 115 grams. And this lead sinker, 477 grams. So I just want to show a few things using these items. So if I place this cork here, 8 grams, and this, so that it's suspended like that. Let's zoom in a bit. We have this weight. If I support part of the weight off the ground, pretty obviously the scale reads less weight here. Common sense, really. So keep that in mind.
Notice how when it's in free fall, they both fall at the same rate, you know. But again, when one side is connected to the earth, then it falls faster than free fall or faster than G, right? So keep that in mind. All right, have you guys seen when there was two objects like this in free fall? They fall at the same rate, right? But when one of the ends of the stick is connected to the earth, again, if you push this side up, then the other side gets pushed down. That's a fact. So again, it's no given that, again, if you understand that the force of the earth is an upwards push, then that makes perfect sense to why we observe these effects, is because, again, when one of the ends of the stick is connected to the earth, then it's being pushed up by the earth. Therefore, it's pushing this down faster than the free fall rate. Uh, um, Again, that will be the simple explanation for that observation. I haven't heard anything yet from a stationary flat Earth side or globe Earth side to why that's the case. I think there is some explanations that don't make any sense. The globe Earth tries to say that, oh, it's because of the angular momentum, because it's not falling straight down, that the angular momentum, you know, makes it fall faster, which doesn't make any sense, because if you think about it, when a stick is like this, you know, uh, in the incline, for example, and then you drop it, right? It doesn't fall straight down. This end doesn't fall straight down, right? It makes a little curve to when it falls, right? In other words, the closest distance, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So the object that's just falling straight down, it has the shortest distance. In other words, the other the stick, because it's making the curve down, is traveling a longer distance. So technically, it shouldn't fall faster than the other object, which is just falling in a straight line. Because again, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So if the stick is not falling or in a straight line, then therefore it's traveling a longer distance, but it's doing it faster you know so again, it doesn't make any sense from the globe earth explanation how the I don't know if that's the right term, correct term, that angular momentum of the stick makes it fall faster. But again, it doesn't make any sense because it's having to travel more distance, therefore it should fall slower, logically. But again, we understand that it's the upwards push of the earth, then that's gonna give us that effect, of pushing the other end down. you know so again, the globe earth explanation doesn't make any sense. But if you understand that it's the upwards push of the earth, then that makes perfect sense. So again, it's not just that experiment. I showed a couple as well with the digital accelerometer and analog accelerometers that show there is no physical downwards acceleration, and that the force of the earth is up. So again, that's just another demonstration that shows and that correlates with the other experiments as well. It's not just an explanation, it has practicality to back it up as well. So I thought that was a really good video by Execrate. So yeah, so another question that people still have, again, people that are new to the subject, is that, well, when I release an object, it accelerates down. The distance, that it travels in the first second increases in the second, or they also say that, when I drop something from like 1 foot off the ground, there's not a big impact, but when if I drop it from 20 feet, there's a bigger impact. So that's clearly an acceleration, right? Like it's increasing its speed down, right? And the answer is no. Because again, if you have an object decelerating from a constant, then the difference in speed from the constant and the decelerating object is always going to be an acceleration. So let me just show something real quick. Yeah, we'll do that entire screen. Just wanted to go over something regarding that. Why do objects appear to accelerate in free fall? So here, let's do this. So again, I'll bring out the whiteboard for this one. So I'll do an example first. Oh, shoot. Why do objects appear to accelerate in free fall? So So if we have, we'll say we have a car here, right? Just we have a car here, right? We'll say they're both going 60 miles per hour, right? Right? So whether this one here on the right accelerates or decelerates, the difference in speed between these two cars is always going to be an acceleration. So if this car here, for example, accelerated to 65 miles an hour, then the difference in speed between these two is going to be 5 miles an hour. And if it accelerated to 70 miles per hour, then the difference in speed is going to be 10 miles per hour. And again, if it keeps accelerating, the difference in speed is going to be increasing because it's going to be going faster than the other one. Now, if it's decelerating, it's the same thing. The difference in speed between the two is also going to be an acceleration. So let's say it decelerated from 60 miles an hour to 55 miles per hour. The difference in speed between these two is still going to be 5 miles an hour. And if it decelerates again to 50 miles per hour, then the difference in speed between the two is going to be 10 miles per hour. And again, if it keeps decelerating, let's say it goes down to 45 miles per hour, then the difference in speed between the two is going to be 15 miles per hour. And again, if it decelerates to 40, then again, the difference in speed, again, is always going to be an acceleration between the two. Whether it accelerates or decelerates, the difference in speed between the two is always going to be an acceleration. So when we're talking about a free-falling object, oh shit, that's a crooked ass line. Okay. I guess we'll put little markers here. It doesn't really matter. But... So say this is the Earth. We'll say the Earth is moving. Again, the speed of the Earth doesn't really matter to understand what's happening. So we'll say it's moving at 1,000 miles an hour. For the sake. So if you have an object here, right, and you drop the object down, say you had a bowling ball, right? When you're holding it, it's at 1,000 miles an hour. But as soon as you release it into free fall, it starts to decelerate, starts to lose that momentum of 1,000 miles an hour. You know, I guess we could do 100 miles an hour just so I don't have to do too much math. We'll say it's 100 miles an hour just for the math, so I don't have to do too much math. So again, as soon as it decelerates, when you release it into free fall, again, let's say in the first second, it drops down to 95 miles per hour. Again, the difference in speed between the free falling object and the Earth is 5 miles per hour. Now let's say in the second second, it decelerates to 90 miles per hour. Then again, the difference in speed is 10 miles an hour. And then again, 3 seconds, 85 miles per hour. The difference in speed is 15 miles per hour. 4 seconds, let's say 80, 20 miles an hour. So again, you can see that the higher you drop something, the more time it has to lose momentum, which means that the higher the difference in speed is going to be between the free-falling object and the Earth. So that difference in speed is always going to be an acceleration. So the higher you drop an object, the higher the difference in speed between the two it's going to be. So again, you're going to get a higher impact the higher you drop something, but not because it's accelerating down, it's because it's decelerating from the constant. And again, the difference in speed between a decelerating object and a constant is always going to be an acceleration. It's always going to increase. This difference in speed between the two is always going to increase. when the object's losing momentum. So it's literally that simple to understand why an object appears to accelerate down in free fall, but is simply decelerating, which again is going to give us the exact same effect, which is going to be a higher impact, when it hits the ground, or when the ground hits it, in other words. So I wanted to go over that real quick for anybody who may have a misunderstanding there, or probably didn't understand that. But again, that's a simple explanation, that shows how, again, a free falling object will have a higher impact the higher you drop it, but because it's decelerating, not accelerating. So let me just close this. So again, just want to remind, if anybody wants to join the panel and have a chat with us, and maybe you have something that you don't understand, you have questions that you maybe wanted to ask because something's not clear, then please come on. We can easily, go step by step if there's anything that you don't understand.
Maybe you think we're missing something.
Yes. Again, and if you think you can prove the globe Earth or a stationary flat Earth, please enlighten us. But yeah, let me go over some of the comments real quick before I go on the next one. I'll just say hi to some of the people that are here: Earthship Bear, Nachiketa, Eric Green, Amanda, Angela, Andrew. I'm not sure if I already said your name. Fred, Carl. All right, so let me see if there's any questions. 69. Okay, nothing, no questions so far, but again, there are some stationary flat earthers that do have explanations, and they like to claim that they do have demonstrations of how, for example, electrostatics is the cause for the acceleration in free fall without any effects of acceleration. So what they'll do is they'll like rub a balloon in their head and then stick it to the ceiling and saying like, oh, look, we can invert, or change the polarity of a balloon, which will normally fall, right? But if you just rub it on your head and increase the static charge, then you can make it, stick, to the ceiling, for example, and it doesn't fall, right? Or they'll get an object, and they'll levitate it using, electrostatics, but again, just because you can levitate an object using electrostatics or whatever, that doesn't mean that electrostatics is the cause for the acceleration of different states of matter at the same rate without displacing. For example, if you're claiming that electrostatics is the cause for the downward acceleration without any effects of acceleration, then you're claiming that electrostatic can accelerate this without the effect of the buoyant ball, reacting to that force, which is what the claim, in free fall actually is. It's having a buoyant object within a medium like water and accelerate it without any effects of the acceleration. So if you can recreate that kind of acceleration in any other vector, then these other demonstrations of you levitating objects, is literally just a parlor trick. It has nothing to do with the claims that are being made, and is literally just there to try to sway people. So an example of that would be, let me show you. So here, let me share a couple of demonstrations of like levitating objects, for example, using air. So again, this will be screwdriver using air, or air pressure, in other words. So again, just because you can levitate an object using air, does that mean that air is the cause for the downwards acceleration without any effects of acceleration? Of course not. Again, just because you can do that, it doesn't mean that that's the cause for the, this will be considered, if you're trying to claim that that's the case, and again, you're completely misleading, and straight up just lying, whether you're doing it deliberate or not, So here is, let me share this tab now. So this is acoustic levitation. So now we're using sound to levitate. So let's play this one real quick. Again, just because you can levitate objects using sound, again, that doesn't mean that you can accelerate solids, liquids, and gas without displacing. Again, that has nothing to do with the claims that are being made in free fall. So let me see, there's one more. Again, this is using an electromagnet to levitate. Oh, shoot. There we go. Let me restart it. So this is using an electromagnet to levitate. So again, just because you can levitate using an electromagnet, that doesn't mean that that's the cause. Again, so anybody claiming that, electrostatics, we can levitate objects using electrostatics, therefore that proves that that's the force that can accelerate matter without displacing. Again, that's not the claim. That's literally just a parlor trick. Doing that little demonstration, which has nothing to do with the claims, and claiming that that's the cause. You're either, straight up fucking lying, or you have no clue what the fuck you're talking about, So it literally comes down to that. It's literally just a parlor trick. So I actually wanted to do a little, not even an experiment, I guess you could call it like a trick. It's going to be a mind reading trick. So I'm going to read everybody's mind right now. and because I'm going to show, a little trick that's going to show that I can read your mind, you have to believe that I can read minds, right? So again, it has to do with, if you could do basic math, add, subtract, and multiply, then you'll be able to keep up with this demonstration. I'm going to do a demonstration right now, and I'm going to read your mind. And even people that watch the rerun of this, I'm going to be able to read your mind in the future. So like, this is how I'm going to read your mind.
It's going to work.
So again, if you have to be able to add and subtract, if you could keep up with the adding and subtracting, which is pretty simple, then you're going to see that I'm able to read your mind. So from 1 to 10, think of any number from 1 through 10.
Do not comment it.
Don't comment it. Just
Keep it
think
to
about
yourself.
it. Keep it to yourself.
Think it. Don't comment Don't comment anything. Just wait till the end.
Yeah. So think of a number from 1 through 10 and make sure you remember that number, and I'm going to be able to, get the same result as you. So 1 through 10, think of a number, keep it in your head. Now, what we're going to do is, once you have that number, let's add 8 to that number. So you add 8 to whatever number that is, right? Once you add 8 to that number, multiply it by 2, right? Multiply it by 2. Now, subtract the original number you thought of, right? Okay. Okay. So it's no. Okay, we're gonna start from the start because I'm kind of like overthinking it here. Okay, from 1 through 10, you have your number, right? Okay. Now, multiply that number by 2. I don't even remember that's how it goes. Fuck.
You just did it to me the other day.
Yeah. So multiply that number by 2. Now, add 8 to that number. Add 8 to that number. I mean, it's still the same thing, huh? I said, add 8 to that number. Now, divide. Okay, now subtract subtract the original number you thought of from that. Okay, and now divide that number by 2. Okay. Okay, and I'm overthinking it right now. I didn't even practice.
You're put on the spot. So
Yeah.
You should run it again.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to run it again. Yeah. Let me just clear my mind because my telekinesis is not working right now. So we'll probably come back to that.
I'm not done. I can't divide my by 2.
All right, give me a sec. Okay, we'll come back to it.
No, well, it's like you can. Okay, if you can't think of it right now, that's fine.
Yeah, okay, give me a sec. I have to focus real quick. Give me a sec. Okay, it was
Do you remember you told me pick a number between 1 to 10, multiply by 2, and then I don't know if you subtract.
Okay. I think I remember now. Okay. Starting from scratch. Okay. Think of a number 1 to 10. I'm sure you guys have that number. Okay. Now multiply that number by 2. Right? Multiply that number by 2. Now add 6 to that number. Right? Add 6 to that number. Right? Now divide. Okay. Okay. Now subtract the original number you thought of after adding the 6. Subtract the original number you thought of. Right? Okay. Now, once you do that, divide that number by 2. Right? Okay. Now, once you divide that number by 2, add 10 to that number, right? Now, if I did do it right and I was able to read your mind, your answer should be 13. Now, for anybody that followed that, was the number 13? Everybody has 18 now. 3. If you add 10, it should be 13. You got 15. I guess it didn't really work. So point being is, no,
I swear he does it. He normally does it and it works. It's just I think right now he's overthinking it.
no. So I'll explain it how it works. So it's basically just a mathematical algorithm. So for example, okay, I'm gonna just say it because so let's say whatever number you think of from 1 through 10. Let's say you thought of 5, right? We'll say it's 5, and then you multiply that 5 by 2, then you have 10. Then I said add 6. That leaves you with 16, right? Then divide that by 2. Oh, that's what it was. Then you divide that by 2. That leaves you with 8. Then if you subtract the original number you thought of, did I say add 8?
I believe so.
Yeah, then you subtract the original thought of that would be 5. That let's see. Oh my god, I'm like fucking bombing this. So the 1 through 10, we'll say you thought the number was 5, you multiply it by 2 is 10. Then you add 6, for example. Let me see. Damn, I should have like practiced it before doing this. I literally just jumped on and did it, but
it's because you do it all the time.
Well, I didn't do it all the time. I was just like, I remember I used to do this little trick before, and I remember I did it with you once.
A couple times before.
Well, it was
over years.
Years ago, and I did it once, but
we did it like a month ago.
Yeah.
Or not even like a week ago.
Yeah, point being is I didn't get to practice it before, and I kind of just did it off the bat. Point being is that I'm able to like end with the same number that that you're gonna end up with, pretty much. Even though I didn't know the number you thought of, using a mathematical algorithm, you're able to control what number you're gonna end up with. So if I could get it sorted in my head, I'll go ahead and share it, but I'll just jump on to the next topic now.
Right here. Think of a number between 1 to 10.
No, it's a little
Double
different.
that number, and then add 5, then divide by 2, and finally subtract by the original number.
Yeah, it's very simple. You multiply times 2, you add a number, then you divide by 2, then you subtract the original number you thought of, and then you're left with the number that's controlled. It's a controlled number. Point being is that if somebody gullible, you do this to somebody gullible, you can make them think that you can read their minds. But again, maybe I'll do it in the next one. I'll practice it a little bit, and then we could try it on the next one. But that was a big fail. Big fail. But yeah, everyone ends with the same number. That's the point. So again, when done correctly, But yeah, it's a mathematical formula. It's algorithms. But again, it gives the impression that you're able to read someone's mind. So I may come back to it if I could remember it. But if anything, let me go over. Somebody kept asking, stick to the water bottles. No, yeah, I'm no magician. I'm no trickster. That's for sure. I'm no trickster. No, yeah, it doesn't matter if you pick an odd number, because multiplying times 2 is always going to make it an even number. So you're always going to end up with a whole number, even if you pick an odd number. At the end, you're always going to end up with a whole number. It's never going to be 4.5. You control basically what number you end up with. That's what it comes down to. So, but again, that doesn't mean I can read minds, obviously. That's my point. That would just be like a parlor trick, to trick someone to thinking that you could read someone's mind. But obviously, that's not the case. But people were asking about, me in the last live stream about, where do you get that objects fall at 4.9 meters per second instead of 9.8 meters per second? Well, again, if you, here, let me just share this. Literally Google or Chat GPT. Again, anybody can look this up. Again, I asked, how much distance does an object fall in the first second in a vacuum, right? So an object falls approximately 4.9 meters in the first second in a vacuum near the Earth's surface. So again, in a vacuum, when there is no air resistance or nearly zero, because obviously there's no such thing as a perfect vacuum, But a feather and a bowling ball, again, will fall at the same rate. So in a vacuum, near the surface of the Earth, in the first second, again, it's right here, 4.9 meters in the first second. And then the formula, again, multiplies the 9.8 meters per second times half, times 0.5. So I don't know where they get this 0.5, why it needs to be multiplied times half, but that's the formula, for objects in free fall. So it's 4.9 meters per second because the formula that they use multiplies it by half. So again, I don't know how they come up with these numbers or these formulas, but obviously this value of 9.8 meters per second or 4.9 meters per second acceleration is just completely made up, in my opinion, obviously, because objects don't accelerate down. And again, I mean, if this is what they're claiming, this is not me saying this. This is the mainstream, So again, 4.9 meters per second. Again, you can look it up yourself. It's there. So just wanted to share that because some people were asking, like, where are you getting that number from? So it's literally what they're claiming. They say it's 9.8 meters per second, but then once you put it in the formula, it's actually 4.9 meters per second that an object travels in the first second in a vacuum, which again, at the end of the day, it's just a made up value. Objects don't accelerate down, and I don't know where the hell they get these numbers from, but give me 1 second. So, okay. So I did wanted to touch on the fact that, because a lot of people would also ask me, like, oh, why don't you show any of the NASA fakery? Like, well, the glitches of the CGI, like why don't you talk about that and show how NASA's lying, right? And how that's a good way to introduce people or to try and convince people that the Earth is not a globe, because NASA, to debunk the globe, right? It's show that NASA and astronauts are lying, and by showing the glitches and all of the green screen effects, to debunk the globe. The reason why I never touch any of that, the NASA stuff, is because when you understand physics, then the NASA stuff becomes obvious. You don't even need to go there first, because in my opinion, even if you did debunk, or show that NASA does fake a lot of their footage and all of that, that still doesn't prove or debunk the globe Earth. In other words, it doesn't debunk the globe, because Globers will just say that, oh, just because, there's glitches, that doesn't mean the Earth is flat. That doesn't mean that the Earth is not a globe, which is true.
Which is true. All you're doing is really just showing that they're lying, but it doesn't prove what.
It doesn't prove the shape of the Earth.
The shape of the Earth, or what they're lying about, or
yeah. A lot of people would say, oh, the moon landing was faked because they faked it because they wanted to beat Russia, right? Or they wanted to be the first ones to go to space, so they faked it, so that they can claim that they were the first ones, right? So in other words, in their mind, it's still a globe. But they faked it, but that doesn't mean it's not a globe, right? And that's true. So at the end of the day, I never touch none of that stuff because it doesn't prove anything. It has nothing to do with physics. And in my opinion, it just kind of muddies the water. So I like to just go straight to the source, which is understanding practicality. And that's what's going to show you, that they're lying. Mm-hmm. Once you understand that it's physically impossible for the globe Earth to exist, then the whole NASA show basically becomes obvious.
Mm-hmm. Any show, I mean, even with the TFE.
That's where I was going. So now with this final experiment, in my opinion, it's no different than the moon landing stuff, because or any of the NASA fakery, because now they have people arguing, about like the shadows, and
if you can see their breath because it's cold, footprints.
Just like, oh, there's no crater of the lunar module on the moon. That's no different.
Yeah, there's exactly the same.
It's the exact same shit, in my opinion. And in other words, it doesn't prove anything. It literally doesn't prove anything. If you could debunk that the final experiment happened or didn't happen, it doesn't prove anything about the physics of this world. So the same reason why I don't like to focus on the NASA stuff is the same reason why I'm not giving any attention to this final experiment, because it's literally the exact same shit that already happened with the NASA footage and the moon landing footage and all of this footage from NASA that doesn't prove anything at the end of the day. It literally just muddies the water from people getting to the physics of it that debunks it. So again, with the final experiment, it's no different. It's literally just muddying the waters, and how now people are arguing the authenticity of this experiment, which doesn't prove anything at the end of the day. If they faked it or didn't fake it, it doesn't prove anything. It doesn't prove anything about physics, which is the point. And in my opinion, anybody that entertains that is literally just muddying the waters. It's bearing the practical physics with all of this drama now.
Yeah, it's just a distraction.
And it's literally just a distraction. Mm-hmm. So again, its point is to talk about it because it has nothing to do with physics. Again, let's go straight to the source. Once you understand that the fact that there is no pulling force of gravity and that the force of the earth is up, that's what's going to show you that the final experiment is just a distraction. Observing the sun has nothing to do with physics here on earth.
And the more attention that it's given, the more value it holds.
Not only that,
especially to the gullible and to the masses that aren't going to look into the physics and are just going to take people's word.
Yeah. So again, it's just muddying the waters at the end of the day, because it doesn't prove anything. So it literally gives me the exact same vibes of people arguing the authenticity of the moon landing, for example. Like if that's going to prove anything.
It's no different than the moon landing. It's literally just the modern day moon landing experience. They
Yes.
went to the moon. Well, now they went to Antarctica and look, and now argue about if it's fake or not. Forget physics. Focus on all the look, no shot, look over there and look over there and look, where's this and where's that? Where's the penguins I even heard? Like it's just completely irrelevant when it comes to the shape of the earth. It doesn't matter if it was faked or not. It doesn't matter. It's just about the physics, which they're dismissing in favor of giving you this little distraction.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So it's very important to stay practical and what we can demonstrate. And sure, we can go to Antarctica and see whatever the sun does, but again, what is that going to prove besides an observation?
Like even if it wasn't faked, and let's say there was a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, that still doesn't prove anything. At the end of the day, nobody knows what the sun or the moon or the stars actually are, how they move, the motion that they have. Nobody knows the exact path they take. Nobody knows the exact layout of the continents to be able to, look at them and again, it has nothing to do with the shape of the earth.
Which is the reason why I always nitpick at it, saying it's not an experiment, because it's just an observation. An experiment has to be observable, measurable, testable, repeatable. And we can't do any of those things. Looking at the sun isn't any of those things. It's
Exactly.
not a physical measurement, even if you can, I can measure. I don't even want to get into none of that.
So again, I just wanted to emphasize.
Irrelevant.
I just wanted to emphasize that real quick. How this TFE thing is literally the modern day moon landing, and it's literally just there to muddy the waters. It doesn't prove anything, and it just has people arguing the authenticity of it. Which, at the end of the day, if you understand physics, that becomes obvious that it's just bullshit. Just like the whole NASA fakery. That's why I never talk about it, because once you understand that the globe Earth is impossible, again, because water doesn't have the ability to curve or bend, and also that there is no physical downward acceleration. There is no acceleration without effects of acceleration that exists. That once you understand that, then the whole NASA again becomes irrelevant. Same thing with this TFE. Once you understand that, then you start to see how irrelevant it is, and anybody that gives it any attention, in my opinion, is just muddying the waters, and it's just burying the simplicity, that actually proves, that the globe Earth is impossible. Again, that being the physics of it, So yeah, if you want to go over some of the comments real quick, if there's any questions.
Out of respect for our elders, we should keep the earth a globe. Yeah, let's just dismiss a demonstrable reality.
I don't know if you're serious or just trolling when you say that, but yeah. So out of respect for our elders, let's lie to our children. In other words,
Let's
about their
perpetuate a
existence.
lie.
Let's perpetuate a lie and lie to our children about their existence and their purpose here on earth. Out of respect for our elders, right?
Who
Yeah.
didn't respect us by lying.
Yeah, so let me see. Let me see if there's any. So again, various states of matter cannot fake the reaction to motion. Again, yeah. Again, at the end of the day, reality doesn't lie. Again, matter will show you, what's really going on. Matter doesn't have the ability to basically move itself and create pressure on itself. It requires an external cause. So again, once you understand cause and effect of matter and what happens when you accelerate matter when contained, again, that's what's gonna show you, who the liars actually are. So again, all this, calling, oh, he's a shill and they're a shill, and people calling each other shills at the end of the day, again, that's just part of the drama, in my opinion. Again, that's irrelevant. Again, understanding reality for yourself. Once you understand reality for yourself, then you're gonna be able to see who's actually lying and who's not, whether deliberate or not. So again, people at the end of the day lie. Reality doesn't lie. So again, it literally just comes down to understanding things for yourself. And if you put that responsibility on someone else to think for you or to figure things out for you, then that's what a cult is. If that's the way you think, then you're no different than a religious person, that doesn't think for themselves and just looks up to a priest to tell them what to think and what to do and how to behave and all of this. And, so again, if you can't think for yourself and figure out for yourself who the liars are, then you're in a cult. It's literally that simple. So yeah, cult members don't think for themselves. They just take authority and they accept everything authority just says to them. And it's literally all just based on trust and faith. So if you have trust and faith, people telling you one thing when reality shows you another, then again, you're no different than a religious cult zealot, at the end of the day. So, keyboard. Reality is how we create it. It's both globe and flat. It's not a globe or flat. It's level. So I don't know how it could be globe and flat. Like, I keep hearing people talking about the earth could be a simulation or it could be some kind of projection, right? Like, it exists in reality, only exists in your mind type of shit. So here's the thing. The way I see it, if reality was a simulation or some kind of projection, not actually physical, in my opinion, especially if you're claiming a simulation, then there should be glitches, even though they're trying to say, oh, it's a perfect simulation, right? Oh, it's a perfect simulation, but there is no effects of acceleration in free fall. So if it was a perfect simulation, then that acceleration in free fall, should be detectable, it should be measurable, right? So again, the way I see it, if it was a simulation, just like in your dreams, when you have a dream, I would say that's a simulation, But what happens in dreams? You're able to defy the laws of physics. You're able to fly in dreams. You're able to walk on water. You're able to breathe water. I've had dreams where I'm able to breathe water, and obviously that's not reality, right? That's just a simulation, because again, a simulation are not perfect. There's going to be glitches, right? So if this was a simulation, you would see some people being able to fly. You will see some people being able to walk on water. You would be able to see people now be able to cast a shadow. Imagine somebody that doesn't have a shadow. That would be fucking crazy. That would defy like all the laws of physics. In other words, if someone doesn't have a shadow, right? But that's not the case. we don't live in a simulation. Otherwise, those things would be there, in my opinion. All of these things, there'll be glitches. There would be, because again, simulations are not perfect. Show me a simulation that's perfect. Doesn't exist. So again, all of these theories that people have, again, they're just theories. They're not even backed by anything practical. If anything, these theories come from the ideas of dreams and video games. Things that are simulations of this reality. Because dreams are simulations of this reality. Video games are simulations of this reality. But all of those simulations, there's glitches. Again, things that defy physics, things that don't make any sense. This reality is not like that. You can't break physics. Physics is what it is. Therefore, in my opinion, by default, this is not a simulation. This is a real place, in my opinion. It's, whatever it is, this is reality, and it follows the laws, of physics. It can be broken. You can't fly. You can't walk on water. You can't breathe water. So
who knows what is possible without any limiting beliefs?
Well, again,
some things are just, you can believe that you can fly, walk on water, walk through fire, all these things. But if I can believe it as much as I want, but I'm still probably going to fail.
Exactly. So, yeah, again, anybody claiming that this is simulation, where are you getting that from? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. People that claim that.
I've noticed that not everyone, but majority of the people that claim simulation is usually when they have nothing else to defend their bias. They just end up saying, well, it's all simulation anyway. So, what does it matter?
Yeah. Again, it's just like a way to dismiss physics, in my opinion. The practical demonstrations that show, it's mainly motionless flat earthers that I hear pushing the simulation theory. Obviously the globe earth also pushes that here and there. They talk about, reality is just a simulation. How many times have you seen videos like that, pop up in your feed on YouTube, right? That, globe earthers believe that too. Now you have stationary flat earthers claiming that too. And again, it's just an excuse for me that I see. That it is just dismissing, the practical physics that go against their bias at the end of the day. And it's just a desperate attempt, to try and get away, with, to try and justify their beliefs, in other words. So again, it's just beliefs on top of other beliefs on top of other beliefs, which is backed by nothing practical, right? Like the globe earth, again, the theory of gravity, which, backs up the globe earth theory, which backs up the outer space theory, without any containment, next to the earth's pressure system. It's just theories on top of theories on top of theories, which is backed by nothing practical. So again, this simulation theory is no different.
Which, hey, you can believe whatever you want. Just don't try to represent them as objective reality.
Right.
Because, you can't prove that.
Exactly. No, yeah. Yeah. If you can't prove it physically, then it's just bullshit. And it's just a theory, and it has nothing to do with reality. So, there is one more video that I wanted to go over real quick. I guess is the link still pinned?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So again, anybody that wants to join the panel, again, if you want to have a chat with us.
I'm surprised not even a troll.
Right. No, yeah. Again, anybody that wants to join, the link is there. We welcome anybody. Again, if you want to just share your thoughts on.
We don't bite.
Yeah, what you think this place actually is, what this reality actually is, please share your thoughts. We'd love to hear them. And definitely be questioning your logic and reason into why you believe whatever you believe, because at the end of the day, we don't have any beliefs. We accept reality for what it is. So if you have beliefs about this place, this reality, then I would love to hear your reasoning to why you believe these things. Because at the end of the day, again, the way I see it is that if you can't prove something, then why believe it? Why lie to yourself? So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there.
I am the center of my universe / reality. I create what is every moment, every second. Can you make fire cold?
Well, can you breathe water? Can you jump into a pool and breathe water just because that's what you want to create, right, in your mind? I create what is a moment. So again, I don't know what you mean by that. Like you create every moment, because reality is there whether you believe it or not. Whatever you think about reality doesn't matter. Reality is what it is.
And
You can't change reality, in other words.
Yeah. Not picking on anyone either, just
yeah,
giving an example to the logic.
Yeah. So we'll go over a video I've been wanting to go over for a while. It's just I never had the chance to. So we'll go over this video and see if anybody joins in between. But let's just go over this video real quick. And just go over the logic. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. It's a video Eric Dubay did. It's called Is the Earth Stationary or Constantly Rising Upwards? It's only a 7-minute video. So we could go over it and see what the main points, are for the stationary Earth. Because this is, here, let me share this. Window. All right, so let's share this. So again, this is by Eric Dubay. Is the Earth stationary or constantly rising upward? So let's watch this and then we could.
For many years, the flat Earth community at large was in agreement that the world is a level, motionless plane, as evidenced by our common sense, everyday experience, and countless scientific experiments, including the Michelson-Morley, Michelson-Gale, Sagnac, Airy's failure, and observable realities.
Okay, saying all of these experiments prove that the Earth is stationary, again, literally just a parlor trick. Why? Because none of those experiments can show any acceleration without effects of acceleration. In other words, none of those experiments prove that you can accelerate, a container without the effects of acceleration. For example, the buoyant object not being pushed in the direction of acceleration. So again, that's what the claim is in free fall. If you're a stationary flat earther or a globe earther, you're literally claiming that you can have acceleration without any effects of acceleration. So again, just saying that, the Michelson-Morley and the Sagnac and all these experiments prove that the Earth is stationary. No, they don't. Again, it's just a parlor trick, to try and convince the gullible.
Such as perfectly circular star trails around a stationary pole star.
Again, just because the stars rotate above, and then there's no parallax, what does that have to do with objects accelerating down in free fall without any effects of acceleration? Again, you need to recreate this kind of acceleration in another vector to show that kind of acceleration is possible, that you can accelerate without a force, So again, that has nothing to do with the claims that are being made from stationary flat earthers.
And the constellations remaining in their relative positions to one another for all of recorded history. Recently, however, a few flat earthers have revived Leo Ferrari's old Flat Earth Society claim that the world is not, in fact, a level, motionless plane, but rather a constantly upwards rising plane. These people cite experiments such as a helium balloon moving forward in an accelerating car, or a cork inside a drum.
Again, when you have a container and you accelerate, there's going to be a reaction. So that's what that shows. He tries to just talk about it like it's nothing, just talks over it like it's nothing. But again, it shows that there are no effects of acceleration in free fall. If you understand what buoyancy is and the cause for buoyancy. If acceleration, will always cause a buoyant object to get pushed in the direction of acceleration, and that's not there in free fall, then that shows you that that's not accelerating down. So
Drop bottle of water, momentarily ceasing its descent while mid-air, as proof positive that Earth cannot be a stationary plane. They claim the only possible way to explain these results is to assume Earth to be constantly rising at 9.8 meters per second, or approximately.
Again, misrepresenting there again. Nobody claims the Earth is rising at 9.8 meters per second. That's retarded. But again, he has to misrepresent the position because, I don't know why. Obviously he's just
inverting the number.
Yeah, he's just taking the 9.8 meters per second that they claim in acceleration and claiming out that the Earth has to be accelerating up at that rate. But again, the Earth, nobody knows what the speed of the Earth is. All we know is that when an object is in free fall, it's decelerating from that constant motion. Again, it doesn't matter what that constant motion is. That deceleration of a free falling object is always going to appear to accelerate because, again, the difference in speed from the constant and that free falling object is always an acceleration. It doesn't matter what that number is, So again, the fact that he's, putting that number, he's basically strawmanning now, saying that, if you claim the Earth is moving up, then it has to be moving at 9.8 meters per second, which is completely false.
Again, inverting it just like, globers do with everything.
Yeah.
All the globes science.
Exactly.
Approximately 22 miles per hour, straight upwards. There is some debate amongst them regarding whether this upward motion is a constant velocity or an acceleration. But these new upward rising earthers have all recently come into agreement that our flat Earth can no longer be stationary. These upward rising earthers begin their inquiry innocently enough by asking questions about the directional vector of dropped objects and why dense objects fall downwards rather than upwards or sideways, for example. To this question, I would give the answer that there is a pressure gradient formed by the amount of stacked air, water, or land over you in a column, which increases the pressure, weight, and density the farther.
So does air and water push itself down, like create its own weight? Because obviously we understand that weight is an effect of force and a resistance to the force. So that's what gives you your weight and your pressure gradient. You cannot have a pressure gradient without an external cause, because inanimate matter, air and water, cannot create these effects on their own, which is literally what he just claimed.
Yes.
So, the weight of the air, creates the column of air,
It orientates itself.
And basically orientates itself because that's just the way it was programmed, apparently, by the creator. And matter just reacts by its own will, So the air stacks itself and pushes itself down, creating the pressure gradient. So that's literally what he just claimed, that inanimate matter can move itself without an external cause.
Sounds a lot like a simulation theory.
Like what? Like
it organizes itself and then it knows what to do and then.
So again, matter can move itself now. That's literally what he's claiming here.
Farther down you go, and that defines direction, while things like helium balloons fall up, not down, proving there is no downward directional bias. Unsatisfied with this answer, upward rise.
Again, buoyant objects rising through a medium vanishes in free fall. Again, showing that effect of buoyancy is only present when connected to the Earth. So buoyancy is not a cause of itself, like he just tried to say that weight is. Weight is not a cause of itself, and buoyancy is not a cause of itself. They're both effects of a force,
And since he's talking about it, I would have loved for him to use the demos that you guys have put out and then address those exactly, as opposed to like these random, little video clips of these.
I mean, he did show a helium balloon accelerating in a car, but again, he literally just mentioned it. He didn't get into the actual.
I mean, how many times do you guys go over videos in detail and then stop it and play? Like he could have gave a little breakdown of a few demonstrations and what's happening and this is why it's happening. And
yeah, he should have played one of my demonstrations, for example, or someone else's demonstration, and then gone through it like how I'm doing right now, to try and break it down step by step. Let's see their logic, right? Let's look at one of their videos, one of the demonstrations, and let's go through it and then correct it.
Yeah.
The logic. No, what he did again, he just mentioned one of the experiments as in like, the helium balloon in the car accelerating, and he just jumps ahead.
And then just strawman there.
And then just strawman, exactly. So again, that doesn't mean anything.
Rising Earthers continue their inquiry by asking, why then does Earth have a pressure gradient stacked in this particular fashion, with the densest layer at the bottom rather than the top or sides? Now, at this point, I would say such a line of questioning is tantamount to asking, why is water wet? Or why is fire hot? It's like asking, why don't we walk upside down on the sky and look up to the ground? It's similar to asking, why don't our arms grow out of our pelvis and legs grow out of our torso? As anyone...
It's really not.
That's literally a false equivalence there. Like, nobody understands how the human body, works and how it is able to grow the way it does, like how a baby grows, for example. Like nobody actually understands, the mechanism, for lack of a better term, exactly of how a human body grows and knows how to grow each body part, right? Nobody knows that. That's a fact.
How a finger knows to be a finger.
However, orientation, weight, buoyancy, pressure gradients, all of these things can be recreated. We can recreate all of these effects, and there's only one way to do it, and that's with a container that's in motion. Nobody can recreate a human body, as in like be able to create a human body and grow it and be able to explain how it works. So again, another false equivalence here. He's trying to compare something that can be practically shown and recreated to something that can't be, which is like how a human body, grows. So again, completely faulty reasoning here, And
he has to talk about it this way to make it seem so silly that his audience will not look into it. It's like asking, why is the sky blue and why is water wet and why is fire hot? Like he's trying to minimize it, opposed to actually paying attention to the actual physics behind it.
Yes,
it's all backed by demonstrable physics, practical physics.
Yes.
And instead, he just has to again minimize it, make it seem silly to those that may be gullible. He won't give your guys. He said some flat earthers started talking about. He won't name your guys' name because obviously they'll go to your guys' channel and check out the content because any attention is good attention. So it's a little strategic the route he's gone.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, this is not him just being gullible, in my opinion. The fact that he's going about it this way, like you said,
ignoring the physics. That's the biggest red flag. Is that you're ignoring the physics and just calling it silly and claiming things go down because that's the way that's what's supposed to happen.
And again, using false equivalences, to try and compare it to make it look silly again. So yeah.
One who has spent significant time with a 4-year-old knows the question of "but why," if asked long enough, eventually leads to an infinite regress of explanations that can only be ended with the true but potentially unsatisfying metaphysical answer of "it is that way because that's how it was created to be."
So I would say that when people ask, well, what's pushing up the earth? Well, the creator, where they created this place. So again, we can't prove things in this reality. We can't prove cause and effect. But there is we can only go so far.
Yes.
We don't know everything exactly. So eventually you're gonna get to that point he just said that that's just the way it has to be. Mm-hmm. If the earth is not in upwards motion, for example, then then life wouldn't work. You wouldn't even be able to walk. You wouldn't be able to move around. Think about it. if the Earth's not pushing up on you, then you're just gonna be floating. It wouldn't work. How can you move around? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nothing would work.
It's funny how I said, well, then the conclusion that's the way it has to be, because that's the way it is for anything. When you think about it, the way food grows from the ground. Well, why? And then we could start going down to all the facts. But then at the root of it, it's like, but why does food have to grow that way? And that's just the way it is.
Exactly.
Like, you're gonna come to that conclusion on anything objective at the end of the day as well.
But that doesn't mean that a seed requires water and sun to grow. But why?
Mm-hmm.
But why, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, we don't need to know that why. We just know that, that's we need water. That can be recreated.
It doesn't matter if we know the why. We know that we still do.
We know the effects.
The effects of it, whether we can tell you why it happened, and down at the root why it happens.
Yeah. So again, it's just...
Rather than accept that Earth was simply created to have the particular arrangement of density layering that it does, upward rising Earthers instead claim that Earth must be a constantly upwards rising plane, and that this constant vertical motion is the only thing that can explain the directional vector. Now, while this could make for an interesting speculation, the fact of the matter is that dropping a water bottle with a cork in it, or watching a helium balloon go forward in a moving car, are not demonstrations of the Earth constantly rising upwards.
Again, understanding the mechanism for buoyancy does show you that it's the Earth pushing up. Why? Because the only cause for buoyancy is a chain reaction of motion. So again, he's trying to minimize that by trying to, by just literally belittling that. But the reality is that the only cause for buoyancy is a force, again, a chain reaction of a force, and the buoyancy shows you the direction of the force. Again, so if you release a helium balloon here on Earth, the helium balloon's not pushing itself up. It's the air that's pushing it up because the air is more dense. But the air also has to be moving in that same direction to be able to push the helium up in that direction. So what's pushing up the air? That's the ground.
And this is where I have to wonder if, this kind of has to be strategic, because Eric Dubay is a smart guy, right? Mm-hmm. He's not going to ignorantly put out a video on a topic that he didn't already research.
Yes.
So he had to have looked into all the claims being made and all the demonstrations that prove the claims and all that stuff, and then still, spoke about it in this manner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At best, these demonstrations provide tangential evidence for their line of questioning, but in no way prove their assumption that Earth is a constantly rising plane. In fact, upward rising Earthers are forced to pile assumption upon assumption in order to defend their new dogma.
That's exactly what stationary flat earthers do. The irony. They literally just make assumptions, again, that are not backed by anything practical, aka acceleration without any effects of acceleration is caused by itself. Matter just accelerates down by itself, and it's programmed in it to accelerate down at the same rate. So you have to make that assumption. You also, it's just, he's literally just trying to flip the script here.
Again, like the same way Globers do. This video is made in the same manner as well. Let's misrepresent. Let's belittle it. Let's straw man. Let's throw in these memes and make fun of it.
The amount of fallacies in this video already is crazy. Like, I already lost count of how many fallacies he's used here. But my God.
Assumption number 1. Their first assumption, in order to answer the question of direct...
The reality, from his point of view, assumption number 1 is the Earth is stationary. That's the first assumption. Because I didn't come to the motion of the Earth by assuming it was in motion off the bat. No, I did it by falsifying the claim of objects accelerating down in freefall. Mm-hmm. So again, stationary flat earthers and globe earthers both make that claim. Yeah. But when put into when we put that to the test here in reality, we can prove it to ourselves that that's not the case. Anybody can prove it to themselves. So it's not an assumption to come to the conclusion that the earth is in constant upwards motion. Again, buoyancy showing you the direction of the force as well. Not only can we debunk that objects don't move down towards the earth, again, buoyancy shows that it's the ground moving up to the objects, or the more dense objects, again, because the air is not dense enough to push them, or something sinking through water, same principles. Again, it's not an assumption. It's a conclusion based on practical physics. The flat earth, the motionless flat earth, on the other hand, is the assumption.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number one.
Directional vector, going against all common sense, our everyday experience, and countless scientific experiments proving Earth to be completely motionless. They make the grand assumption that Earth is constantly rising upwards 9.8 meters per second. Assumption number 2.
Oh my God, again, strawmanning with the 9.8 meters per second. Again, nobody knows what the rate of the upwards motion of the Earth is, so again, strawmanning again.
2. In order to have a world that constantly rises up.
Again, assumption number 2, infinite empty space above the rising Earth. Again, first of all, nobody claims that an empty space exists, for especially people in this, in the upwards vector, people that understand the motion of the Earth. Not that I know, but nobody claims that there is an empty space, first of all. Second, to claim that in infinite space that's outside of the Earth, that the Earth's moving through, to say that that's impossible. Again, at the end of the day, nobody knows what's outside of the Earth and the limits of the area outside of the Earth. So I personally don't think the Earth is moving in a perfectly straight line. I'll get into that in another video on how, in my opinion, the tides show that the Earth is not moving in a straight line. But again, I'll go over that in the next video because it's like a little presentation that I have. And I'll definitely go over that. Not only that, in my opinion, accelerometers also show, in my opinion, that the Earth is not moving in a straight line. So not only does water show that, in my opinion, but accelerometers also show that the Earth is not moving in a straight line. And again, I'll go over that in a future video. But again, this is a straw man argument here. And at the end of the day, nobody knows what's outside of there, and nobody has the right to put limits on what could be, outside of it. It could be infinite space. Nobody could disprove that or prove it. So to try and dismiss it just because of that reason is completely illogical. But again, someone like myself, again, I don't think the Earth is moving in a straight line, based on the physics of water, based on how water behaves, and also accelerometers, in my opinion, show that the Earth is not moving in a straight line, So in my opinion, the Earth is in some kind of rotational, path, and it's in some kind of cycle, So again, I'll go over that in the next video, the next live. Hopefully, we'll see. But yeah.
Upwards forever, they are now forced to make a second assumption, which is that there exists an infinite expanse of empty space above our flat Earth for the constantly rising world to rise into. Assumption number 3. Next, they are forced to assume that the
atmosphere and objects within the rise perfectly along with the rising Earth. Yes. Yes, everything that's connected to the Earth, that's part of the Earth system, is moving at the same rate of the Earth. So if something is here on the Earth, connected to the Earth, for example, your chair, your bed, everything, your house, everything that's connected to the Earth is moving at the exact same rate as the Earth because it's being pushed by the Earth. Just like when you're inside your car and you're going down, you're 60 miles an hour down the highway, everything inside that car is moving at 60 miles an hour. The air inside the car, the chair in your car, the steering wheel, you, your buddy, everyone, everything inside that car, the engine, everything is moving at the speed that the car is moving. Everything inside of the car is moving at the same speed the car is moving. So it's no different with the Earth system. Everything that's inside of the Earth, the air, the clouds, all the people, the buildings, everything that's inside of the Earth is moving at the same speed of the Earth. So unless it's using a force like an airplane or a helicopter to elevate, now you're using a force to overcome that motion to be able to, gain altitude. You have to be moving faster than the Earth. But that's when we're talking about like a helicopter or an airplane or anything that utilizes a force. But if something is just, here on Earth, at rest, it's technically moving at the same speed. So that's not an assumption. That's just a fact. If the Earth is in upwards constant motion, then that's a default. It's not an assumption.
Entire atmosphere is somehow fixed like glue to rise perfectly along with the upward rising Earth.
No, not like glue, because the Earth is pushing up against it.
Who is he trying to say said that? It doesn't make.
I've never heard anybody say that. Like, what the fuck?
Like
if
glue.
Anything, the stationary Earth is no different than the globe in the sense where the stationary Earth somehow makes the water stick to it like glue. Because if the Earth is not pushing up against the water, then the Earth is doing something to the matter that's making it stick to it, just like the globe. So everything sticks to the motionless flat Earth, but he's trying to flip that. If the Earth is moving up to the objects, then there's no need for the objects to stick to the Earth because it's the Earth that's pushing up against it. So again, not only is he misrepresenting, he's strawmanning here. Nobody claims that. If anything, that's a default claim from his position, from the motionless flat Earth. You would have to believe that objects stick to the motionless flat Earth.
Because otherwise, the upward rising Earth would constantly be crashing up into the bottoms of birds, planes, helicopters, and everything else.
Again, birds, planes, and helicopters all utilize a force to gain altitude. They utilize a force because they have to overcome the motion of the Earth so that the Earth doesn't crash into it. So again, that's not an assumption. That's a fact. Birds, airplanes, helicopters, in order to gain altitude so that the Earth doesn't crash into them, you need a force. You need thrust. You need to push off of the air, which again, the pressurized air, to gain altitude. Otherwise, the Earth will crash into them. When you turn off the engine of a helicopter or an airplane, that's exactly what's going to happen. The Earth is going to crash into them. That's not an assumption. That's a fact. Again, airplanes and helicopters utilize a force to overcome the motion of the Earth. So again, misrepresenting again and strawmanning. Nobody claims that. If you understand how motion works and what's required for motion, again, a force, then you understand that, that's not going to happen.
It's in flight above the forever upwards rising Earth. Assumption number 4. Finally, they are forced to assume that the sun, moon, and stars are also all constantly rising 9.8 meters per second.
Again, nothing is rising at 9.8 meters per second. He keeps that's like the third or fourth time he repeats that. And it's no different than when globe earthers talk about, for example, Einstein's equivalence principle, right? They talk about, objects accelerating at 9.8 meters per second square, it's no different than if the Earth was rising up at 9.8 meters per second square. So again, they misrepresent by giving that value to the Earth rising up now, which is completely illogical and bullshit at the end of the day. Just because, whatever rate objects fall, that doesn't mean that the Earth is rising up at that rate if it's the Earth rising up, So again, that's just, that's just not true, pretty much. And again, you would have to assume, again, the sun, moon, and stars, everything, all the luminaries are part of the Earth system. So again, everything that's part of the Earth system is moving together. So again, that's not an assumption. That's just the way it is. If these things are part of the Earth system, that's what's going to happen. Now, if you would have to assume that the sun, moon, and stars are separate from the Earth system, like outside of the containment of the Earth, and the Earth will crash into them, because obviously the Earth is not pushing, they're not part of the Earth system. So if they were outside of the Earth system, then yes, that would happen. The Earth will crash into these things, especially if they were solid objects. That's another assumption you have to make, that these things are solid objects, that the Earth will crash into them. So again, just literally misrepresenting here.
Somehow fixed along with the rising atmosphere. Otherwise, of course, the upward rising Earth would crash into them as well.
So Eric, are you saying the stars, the moon, and the sun are solid objects, that the Earth is going to crash into them? So what's going to happen? What will happen if there's crash? Like you're saying, again, you're claiming the Earth, that the sun and the moon are solid objects now, that the Earth can crash into them. Not only that, are you saying that they're outside of the Earth system? They're their own system, separate from the Earth system? Two different systems? Is that what you're saying? Because that's not what I say. They're all part of the Earth system. So everything is moving in unison. Everything's moving together, at the end of the day. So you are the one that has to make these assumptions, and strawman with these assumptions, to try and make this, to try and make the motion of the Earth look ridiculous. Because that's exactly what you're doing here,
So rather than accept the order of density layering on Earth to simply...
Again, the order of the density layering here on Earth doesn't create itself. Matter doesn't orientate itself, especially when that orientation is not there in free fall. If matter orientated itself, then it should happen even in free fall. If buoyancy is literally just the effect of the medium that surrounds it being more dense, and that's why, that's able to push it up, then that effect should still be there in free fall. Buoyancy should still be there in free fall. Weight should still be there in free fall. If matter, has the ability to reorientate itself, like you're just claiming here, then that shouldn't vanish in free fall. But it does. It requires the Earth's motion, the Earth's force, to give us this orientation, this layering of the density layers. The pressure gradient here on Earth, doesn't create itself. A pressure gradient is an effect of a contained system that's in motion. Fact, measurable, testable, repeatable by anyone here on Earth. They can prove it to themselves that the effect of a pressure gradient is caused by the container that's in motion. Why? Because first of all, matter cannot move or create pressure on its own, and also matter has inertia. Again, matter resists motion because matter doesn't move itself, and again, matter doesn't resist motion also on its own. But the fact that there is a resistance to motion and force, that's what gives us a pressure gradient, which is only present when connected to the Earth. So,
be as it is, upward rising Earthers prefer to ignore their common sense, everyday experience, and countless scientific
again, motionless flat Earthers are the ones doing all that, ignoring physics and making up assumptions, no different than globe Earthers.
experiments proving a stationary Earth, in order to make assumption upon assumption upon assumption upon assumption fourfold in an attempt to answer their inquiry. Since upward rising Earthers claim the Earth, the luminaries, the atmosphere, and everything in it are all constantly rising together, there is no way for an experimenter to actually step outside this reference frame to confirm or deny their supposition.
You don't need to step out of the Earth reference frame to know that there is a force, at play. We have devices here inside of the Earth, on Earth, here in this reality. There's devices, again, accelerometers, the accelerometer on your phone being a force detection device as well. We have different instruments, different ways to show and prove to ourselves that the vector or force of the earth is up, and that force and vector vanishes in free fall. We don't need to go outside of the earth to prove that to ourselves. Understanding physics, cause and effect, shows us that within the earth. Again, strawmanning again here, misrepresenting,
And this shows the ultimate futility of the upward rising earther's entire argument. Since no one can escape Earth's reference frame in order to observe or measure this supposed vertical movement of the Earth, its atmosphere, and all the luminaries, there is no way to verify or falsify the hypothesis. Therefore,
again, there is. Understanding the cause for buoyancy, the mechanism for what creates buoyancy and a pressure gradient, that's what proves it. There's only one force. There's only one way to recreate all of these effects. Now, if there was another way that we can recreate these effects here on Earth, again, recreating these effects, in a different vector, for example, then we can say that, okay, we shouldn't assume that it's the Earth rising up because there's another way we can prove it, right? Another way that it can be demonstrated. Another way that we can show that we can recreate weight, buoyancy, or pressure gradient. If that was the case, then yeah, okay, then we shouldn't assume one or the other, but that's not the case. There's only one demonstrable way to show that, and that's through motion of a container, So unless you can provide a different way of doing that, another experiment that we can recreate all of these effects, until then, there's nothing, for the stationary Earth or globe Earth,
when questioning the directional vector of density layering on our flat Earth, you can pile assumption upon assumption to arrive at this speculative and unprovable conclusion, or you can simply allow reality to be as it is.
All right, so you all heard it. So a lot of just misrepresenting, a lot of strawmanning, a lot of false equivalences, I lost count of how many times, that happened. But at the end of the day, was there a proof there of a stationary Earth and how objects can accelerate down without any effects of acceleration? Was there an explanation or a demonstration or even an explanation to why when you release this into free fall, the buoyant object doesn't react to the acceleration? I didn't see anything. Again, it was just literally a lot of misrepresenting and just a lot of lying, in my opinion. So yeah. So obviously, Eric, he's already set in his ways and the way he thinks. Obviously, he knows of my channel. He knows of Dell's channel. I'm pretty sure he understands the arguments. And in my opinion, obviously, he's just not going to concede for whatever reason that may be. That'll be up for you, up for you to decide, why. At the end of the day, focusing on personalities and people is irrelevant, So I literally just wanted to go over the logic. So that's why I played the video, because again, at the end of the day, it's not about the person. It's not about Eric. It's not about me. It's not about Dell. It's not about anyone in particular. It's about the physics and what physics shows us. Again, that's what's going to tell us who's lying and who's not, who's real and who's not, who's honest and who's not, So again, putting your faith in personalities, to tell you what your reality is, again, it's no different than a religion. So if you blindly follow, people on YouTube and just believe everything they say, even though it contradicts, our everyday, practical physics, then you're in a cult. In my opinion, the stationary flat Earth is a cult, because cults operate on ignorance and beliefs, which is exactly what the globe Earth and stationary flat Earth are. They're literally making these claims out of ignorance and they just blindly follow, a leader, in other words. People in these camps, in motionless flat earth and globe earth camps, most of these people, if not all, don't think for themselves. How do we know that? Because if they did actually think for themselves, they wouldn't be a globe earther. They wouldn't be a stationary flat earther. So the fact that they double down and literally go against reality, clearly shows that not only they have a bias, but they have culty behavior. They're in a cult. That's exactly what cult members do. Once you start questioning the validity of their beliefs and their claims, they start attacking without any reason or logic, which is exactly what we just witnessed here, and what we witness every day with these globers and motionless flat earthers. Again, they're just knee-jerk reactions, and that's exactly what cult members do. Religious people, you're not going to change their mind at the end of the day. If they're like hell-bent in their beliefs, they're going to fight tooth and nail to defend those beliefs, regardless how ridiculous their claims are. So if you're one of these people that just blindly follows a guru, I hate to break it to you, but you're no different than, again, a globe earther, if you're a stationary flat earther in that case. But yeah, just wanted to highlight some of those, some of the points, I guess, to be honest, that's probably the best, explanation that you're going to get from a stationary flat earther. Obviously you have the electrostatic crew, which at the end of the day is no different, because that claim cannot be recreated or demonstrated as well. There's, RDD and electrostatic, acceleration, incoherent, dielectric acceleration, they're no different from one another. They're both claiming the exact same thing, acceleration and free fall without any effects of acceleration, which is no different than what the globe earth claims. So in my opinion, all of these people, most of these people are, doing this deliberately. They're no different than the globe earth. So in my opinion, though, that is the controlled opposition. The number one proof that debunks the globe earth, it's being hidden, by these motionless flat earthers. It's being suppressed by these motionless flat earthers. Why? Because they're claiming the exact same thing. They're claiming that the earth somehow has this magical ability to make objects stick to it like a magnet. That's literally where it comes down to. The globe earth and stationary flat earth are no different. They're both claiming that there's some special property, some special magical force of the earth that's able to make things stick to it. And water just sticks to the earth because that's just the way it is. Objects fall toward the earth, they stick to the earth, because there's this force making things to the earth, but it can make helium stick to it. Again, no, that's no different than the globe. How many times do flat earthers mock globe earthers for like, oh, gravity is this strong force, but it can make a helium balloon stick to it? Well, I would say the same shit to stationary flat earthers. You claim that the earth has this magical, property or force that's able to make things, objects stick to it, that, electrostatics, for example, it makes objects stick to it, but it can make helium stick to it? Weird, right? Not only that, you're claiming a downwards force while an upwards push is at play as well. So you're having a multi-directional force, going against each other and not canceling itself out. It's literally going against each other and is able to move objects in opposite directions at the same time. That defies physics. Show me a force, show me one force that's able to move opposite of itself at the same time. It's like blowing air in one direction, but claiming that the air is blowing in both directions. Like what? It's like oh, blow air that way, but it's also blowing air this way. At the same time, you're blowing air in both directions with the same force. Like, what? Like, that's literally retarded. And again, I'm not saying that to like just talk shit to people. That's literally what it is. You know, it literally defies all the laws of physics, you know, as we know it. So again, for anybody to take any of that serious, it just shows that you don't think for yourself. It just shows that you're easily swayed, you know, and it just shows that, again, you're in a religion. So hate to break it to you. Okay, let's read this real quick. Dave Sims, your claims are silly because you're claiming the laws of physics need to make sense to you. The laws of physics are what they are. Can you breathe water, Dave? So how is that silly? Understanding that you can breathe water, is that silly? No, that's a fact. That's physics. Your body's not designed to breathe water, for example. So why is fire hot? I don't need to know why fire is hot. All I need to know is that fire will burn you. So does that make sense to you? The physics of fire burning you makes sense to you? Like, I don't know why fire is hot or what, at the root. All I know is that fire will burn you. That's a fact of this physical reality. Is that silly to you? It doesn't make any sense to me. That's the way the parameters of this existence were created, so accept it. So this reality was created by unicorn farts. Now, those are the parameters of this reality, so you must accept that now. You see how I just made a claim and then just said that that's just the way it is, and you have to accept it? You see how silly that is? That's silly. To claim that, oh, that's just the way it is, and that's just the way this existence works, so you just have to accept it. Like, no. Especially if the causation, again, for buoyancy can be recreated and demonstrated. And if that contradicts your belief, then where are we going to go? Are we going to go with your belief, or are we going to go where we can practically show? Okay, let me see. The point is, you're never going to know the inner workings of these things or why we are the way they are. So you're in, again, we can recreate buoyancy and understand the mechanism for buoyancy. So I can understand that. I can understand what's causing the upwards push of the earth. So at some point, I agree with you. Yes, we can understand everything about this reality. I agree with you. But buoyancy and weight, orientation, pressure gradients, all of these things we can understand. Just like we can understand cause and effect that creates the technology we're using right now. Obviously, not me personally, but other human beings understand, the technology we're using right now. So we understand the inner workings of a computer, for example, to be able to create it, a cell phone, But there's limits to how much we can know and how much we can understand. And again, just because we can't understand everything doesn't mean we can't understand anything. Because there's a lot of things we can understand. Buoyancy being one of those things. Not only that, if you're claiming acceleration, you require a force. You require an external cause, an external something else that's in motion to make something else, to put something else into motion. That's a fact. So I'm on a fruitless pursuit. No, if you're a motionless flat earther or a globe earther, you're on a fruitless pursuit because you have nothing practical to back up your claims. So you're literally just a religious zealot, So if you're a motionless flat earther or a globe earther, you're on a fruitless pursuit. You're going nowhere, literally. So yeah. Dave Sims. To say gravity is silly, but an upwards push of the earth isn't, is the same logic that you should know. Dave, how about you click the link and let's have a chat about this? Because there's a lot of comments you're leaving right here. There's like 4 comments right here that I don't even know if I want to read them all, but why don't you just click the link and let's have a little chat? And let's see what your beliefs are. Let me ask you this, Dave. Do you have beliefs about this reality, or do you accept reality for what it is? Let me see. I'm inviting you up, instead of going this back and forth through text, why don't you just come up and let's have a little chat? So, Johnny and Tina, I've been in this scene for 10 years. Again, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how long you've been in this. It just shows, again, I'm not trying to talk shit, but if you've been in this for 10 years, which is longer than I have, because I've been in this for going on 9 years. If you've been in here for 10 years and you still haven't figured this out, I feel sorry for you. This is not a good thing that you've been in this for 10 years. It's actually a bad thing. It will make more sense if you barely came across this maybe a year or two, and maybe you haven't, had a lot, time to think about this. But the fact that you've been in this for 10 years, it's not a good look. And every once in a while I pop back in and I see people are still making exactly the same talking points, except they become sillier. What do you think the earth is? Let me ask you that, Dave. What do you think the earth is? I'm not making a claim, you are. Okay, what do you believe the earth is? Now, if you're going to say you don't know and you don't care, why are you even in this topic, Dave? So you're saying you're not making any claims. Well, do you believe the earth is a flat, motionless plane or a spinning globe? Which one is it? Let me see. And now you're projecting, which shows your emotional tie to the cult you claim you're not part of. Dave, I'm going to ask you again. Is the earth a motionless plane or a spinning globe? Let me see. There's physical laws of this existence that we will never know the inner workings in this, so far I'm saying you're in a fruitless pursuit. I'm going to ask you again. Is the earth a motionless plane or a spinning globe? Or you don't know? What you're doing is the equivalent of Super Mario, focusing on how the tunnel was built rather than playing. Again, I don't claim to know how this reality was built. You're going too far ahead. Yeah, there's things about this reality we don't know. I get that, Dave. I'm not claiming I know everything. You're literally strawmanning here now. I don't claim to know how this reality was made. All I know is how it functions and what's required for buoyancy in a pressure gradient. I'll ask you again. What do you think this reality is? Now, if you're going to say that you don't know and you can't figure it out and all that, why are you in this topic then? If you don't care about physics, if you deny physics that show that water is level when contained and at rest, let me ask you that, Dave. Is the water level when contained and at rest, Dave? I would love to know. What I'm saying is you're in a fruitless pursuit, and one day you're going to realize that I realized this back in 2017. And when I see people still on this, what did you realize? Please be specific. In an endless pursuit, what do you mean by that? Are you saying that the earth doesn't have the surface of the earth? What is the surface of the earth doing? Yeah, you're just trolling now. You're just trolling at this point. I am saying that there are certain physical laws to this existence that you were never going to know. I agree. Yes, I'm not going to know what's causing the motion of the earth. I'm not going to know what's outside of the earth. I'm not going to know how this place was created. And I'm not going to know exactly how atoms work and all that. Yes, I get that. What I do know, it's the mechanism for buoyancy. What's required to have weight, a pressure gradient, orientation. All of these things can be proven by anyone, even yourself. So like at the end of the day, I don't know what your stance is. It's pretty weird. Pretty weird. But the fact is, I see how emotionally attached you are to this, and what I'm saying is a waste of time for you. It looks like you're wasting your time here. Oh, now you're telling me to go watch a movie. Go watch a movie. That'll show you my stance. Oh my God, you're so funny, Dave. I'm asking you, oh, what do you think about this reality? Oh, go watch this movie. Come on. That's pathetic. That's pathetic. That's weak. That is fucking weak. Is that the best you got? Like, that's it? Wow. What a troll. Pathetic. Pathetic. All right. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, so at the end of the day, again, if you're easily swayed, by others, then in my opinion is best if don't insert yourself in this topic. If you can't think for yourself, if you don't have a backbone and are able to, understand things for yourself and stand up and actually, articulate what you understand, then you shouldn't be in this topic. If you have beliefs about this reality, that can be demonstrated, then my best advice to you is don't insert yourself in this conversation. You're only going to make yourself look foolish at the end of the day, just like Dave here, So again, my best advice is understand things for yourself. Again, if you're having any trouble understanding some of the things I presented here, then you can join the stream. You can send me an email. We can have a chat about it. You can go over some of my experiments, some of the conversations I have with students at universities, So I don't know how else I can help you, If you're just willfully ignorant, and then I don't know how to help you. That's a personal issue, at the end of the day. So, all right. Dave, how can I be in a cult when I only represent myself? I don't believe anyone. I trust my common sense and I understand reality for myself. So how am I in a cult? I'm confused. Do you know what a cult is? You know how cults operate? Cults have a hierarchy, right? I represent myself. It's just me. How am I a cult? That doesn't make any sense. You're an idiot. Dave, you made yourself look like a fucking idiot. You say you represent yourself, but you use every single talking point that I've ever heard of for 9 years already. You've been hearing about the upwards vector for 9 years? Because I only came across it like 2 years ago. And it only, came on the scene no more than 3 years ago. What the fuck are you talking about 9 years ago? You've been hearing the same shit for 9 years. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, Dave? You're a fucking idiot. At this point, I was trying to be nice, but you're literally displaying that you're a fucking moron. You don't even know what the fuck you're saying. Oh my God. What a joke. Exactly. I've been telling them, click the link or you're a bot. Exactly. Again, a lot of these are just bot accounts, with AI, the technology the government actually has, they don't release it to the public right away. We all know that the military and government are years ahead when it comes to technology. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these fucking accounts are just bot accounts, Again, they might seem like they're real people, they don't just reply that generic, but we understand that AI, it's advancing. They're mimicking real people. They're trying to mimic real people at the end of the day. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if David's just a bot account.
The
So
upward vector is something that the Flat Earth Society talked about long ago. Who talked about it? Who verbally spoke about it?
I know it was just
a random Google page.
Yeah, you're talking about the Google page that, well, who represented it? And not only that, they claimed the Earth was accelerating upwards. And not only that, they claim the Earth is stationary now. So how is that the same? So, yeah, pretty lame in my opinion.
Was it the Eric Dubay talk that triggered him? Did that happen after?
Right. Could have been. It could be an Eric Dubay subscriber probably. Just got triggered. Jaren and Whitsitt, I was telling David Wise, let me see. Jaren and Whitsitt, I was telling David Wise and Jaren 8 years ago how the Gleason's map model is clearly wrong. Okay, I know that the Gleason's map is wrong. I don't agree with any map. So I don't know what your point is there. I know that the Gleason, that nobody knows the exact dimensions of the Earth. Nobody has an exact map of what the Earth actually is, or the layout of the continents, how many continents there are, the size of them. Nobody has that. I don't deny that.
I'm assuming this is to me. I'm trying to explain to William here that this is a fruitless pursuit, and the sooner you realize, the better you'll be.
Yeah.
That's just your opinion that this is a fruitless pursuit. Just because you have no inquiry and objective reality doesn't mean that it's a fruitless pursuit. Maybe to you.
Again, he asked him if he's a flat earther or a globe earther.
Yeah, I heard some of that. I don't know why he just doesn't click the link. I mean, he can run his mouth behind a keyboard. Can you have a conversation?
Exactly.
Or you're just here to force your opinions on everybody and not be objective, because we talk about objective reality here, not opinions or subjectivity.
Oh shit, let's see. Fred Johnson, why do you always go through the Gleason's map up in an upwards constants force vector discussion?
Yeah.
Again, it's just part of just muddying the waters.
Not even that ignorance.
Yeah, just trying to make it look silly, I think. I don't know, but they make themselves look silly, so literally just backfires.
It's just more proof that they don't understand the upwards position.
Yeah, obviously.
And they're still attaching a model or a map or whatever to it.
Right. I think his whole point is that nobody knows, nobody could figure it out. I think that's his whole thing, that nobody could figure out whether it's a globe or level or flat, that it's pointless to try to figure out the shape of the Earth. That's basically what I got from it.
I mean, maybe he can't figure it out.
Yeah, just because you can't figure it out.
That's a personal problem.
Yeah, you're projecting now. Just because you don't have the mental capacity to figure this out for yourself, that doesn't mean everybody can't do it. It's actually very simple. A 10-year-old can understand these principles that prove.
This is more than just a globe or level Earth or whatever. This is being able to think for yourself again, getting your discernment back again. This goes a lot deeper. You're at the surface level. It doesn't matter if it's flat or level and globe or whatever. Like, you're at the surface level. This goes a lot deeper. This is just the beginning to that.
Yeah.
Wants to come in here trying to sound enlightening.
Yeah.
Doing the opposite.
Yeah, you just made himself look fucking stupid. If it's not a bot. Johnny, I personally like Eric, but the more sources you have, the better opinion you can make on the matter. A lot of things William says make perfect sense. The demonstrations is what I pay attention to. Yeah, exactly. That's what everybody should be doing. Is fuck what people are just saying. Do you have something practical to back up what you're saying? I could say, I have a pink flying elephant in my garage. Can I demonstrate that? No. That's no different than claiming the Earth is motionless. Like, what the fuck?
I'm trying to save you guys time and maybe start doing things to help the community rather than go on fruitless pursuits. What does it matter what we do on our free time to you? Would you rather we go and just join random chat, just stay home, but do what? What are we supposed to go help the community with? We are, by helping them use their brain.
Exactly. So here's a. Let me see.
Oh God.
William, I do live streams all the time. Me and Morgan just didn't want. They just
Good
didn't
for
want the
you.
other day, and I've been talking to all these dudes, and you're trying to insult me for trying to give you some insights. All right, that's not much. All right.
I mean, are you familiar with William's work at all? He goes out and talks to public students at universities. You know, he's not just on a echo chamber or just on the internet. You know,
I go out to the real world.
it's not talking about people that are already in the quote unquote community or that are, you know, I just don't. What is your deal? You should be wanting more people to go out there and wake people up to truth, to objective reality, not trying to discourage people and try to say you're on a fruitless. What you're doing here is fruitless because it's not going to go anywhere. You're not going to change the content on this channel and what we do or anything like that. So again, everyone loves to come to other people's channels and, hey, don't talk about that. Hey, don't say this. Hey, you should be talking about this instead. And it's just like, where's your channel? You have a channel? Good for you. Do that there. You can't force your views, opinions, or anything on anyone.
Exactly. And another thing I've been hearing people, when it comes to the upwards vector, for example, of the Earth, a lot of people like to ask, like, oh, where can I learn about the upwards vector? How can I learn more about this? Like, how you know, can somebody show me proofs, or how can can somebody present it to me or whatever, you know, to be able to learn more about it? Well, if you watch some of my street interviews at the universities with the students, I literally have a Socratic method of showing this, showing these to others, you know, presenting these claims to others, and I go step by step using the Socratic method to show people how gravity is impossible. So I have these conversations all the time at universities for anybody that wants to learn more about how to approach it or to learn more about it. You know, you can watch some of my street interviews that I have with students, and it's literally step by step from the start. You know, how I present it to students, and I would say over 70% of students get it, maybe more. The other 30% just are not listening and just don't care. The people that do listen and care about this subject get it, even in their globe earthers.
Yeah, William does a great job at teaching this on the street. You know, sorry, I'm stuck reading some of the comments.
No worries. So yeah, anybody that's interested on learning how to present this or want to learn more about it, I recommend my street interviews that I have at universities. Again, for those of you that don't know, I go to all the major universities here in Southern California. I go to USC, I go to UCR, I've gone to UC Irvine, I'm gonna go to UCLA, and I've talked to physics professors, I've talked to scientists, I've spoken to people that work at NASA, I've spoken to astrophysicists, I've spoken to professors, like the teachers. None of them can prove their belief. Not only that, they can't debunk physics that prove that the Earth is a level plane in constant upwards motion. Especially once I present the facts, you know, step by step, practically show, you know, cause and effect. You can't deny it. The only thing you could do is whine about it, cry about it, and at the end of the day, you know, that's all you can do. And that's all that I witness when I go to these places. And again, I come across a lot of honest people as well, which are very open and accept reality for what it is too. You know, they know that, oh shit, that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, I don't expect to convince people right away, or, you know, at the end of the day, that's something they have to do on their own, understand reality for themselves at the end of the day. And if they're interested in it, they'll come to that. And if they're not, they won't. It's a personal choice at the end of the day, what you want to do with you, where you want to put your attention. But the facts are the facts. Reality is what it is, you know. And again, anybody that's interested, you can watch some of my street interviews and you can see how it goes when I'm talking to real people in the real world using real practical physics, you know.
Did Dave say if he was a flat earther, a globe earther? But he's saying he's done experiments to prove what? What is your position? You're saying, Like, it's just crazy how you're just inserting yourself and making claims, and
Without making
I've done
claims.
these experiments, the sun experiment, and all these things, and it's like, what is your position? What are you trying to prove first? Why are you afraid or embarrassed to say so? What's your position?
Mhm.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
What is your position? What are you in here barking about?
Pretty much.
It's like you're saying a bunch of nothing almost, because we don't even know what your position is. What are you trying to prove looking at the sun? What are you saying? Sorry, I'm just baffled.
Yeah. No, yeah. No, yeah.
So what I'm saying, it's impossible not to know. How did you come to the terms it's impossible to know anything if you can't know anything?
Mhm.
How did you come to the conclusion it's impossible to know anything? That's a conclusion. I thought it's impossible to come to a conclusion about anything.
Mhm.
I think what I'm saying, it's impossible to know the inner workings of this existence. And I think the more you stay in this, the more you will realize that eventually. Again, that's we can prove things. That doesn't make sense.
Exactly. All right. I guess
Yes, we get it. You've been in the scene many years.
That was-
and it's
it's
sad that
embarrassing.
you're stuck. You're
Yeah.
at this halt. That's as far as you can go mentally. You reach your mental cap and you just can't move forward. I get it. But other people can.
Yeah, just
So
because
people like you get left behind.
yes, you're too dense. So you're because
I get it. You don't want to be wrong. So you don't want to make any claims because I don't want to look like an idiot. But the irony is you're making yourself look even more like an idiot. And again, nothing personal, but the irony is by saying that other people are wrong, but you don't make any claims, and it's just that not a good look, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are laws of physics that you will never know the hows and whys to. Like which ones? What hidden laws of physics are what laws of physics are hiding that we'll never know?
Right.
Can you give me an example?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting for an example.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. I forget. They play the victim, right? You're wasting your time. What you're doing is fruitless, and all this for how long now? And now we say one thing, or I say that's pretty idiotic, and it's like, oh, you're attacking me. It's like, bro, you just went on how many rants?
Pretty much. It's now playing the victim, huh?
Explain to me why fire is hot.
That's irrelevant. That has nothing to do with.
So if I don't know why fire is hot, does that mean fire is not hot anymore? If so, please walk very slowly through fire right now and let me know how that goes.
Just jump into a fire and tell me if you're gonna burn or not. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna start winding it down.
No, I get what you're saying, but not even you can give an example to what you're saying. That's why it's like rather silly. He's a stationary flirt, probably.
Oh, that was good.
They're the most embarrassed to admit it.
Yeah, I know you didn't want to say he was a stationary flirt. Oh man. All right. I kind of want to do a little redemption of the mind trick before we go. And I'm gonna try to redeem myself before we go. But
See, you're missing the entire point. I know, Dave. You're too enlightened for us Middleton here. For a simpleton. There you go. Sorry.
Right.
Right. You're too enlightened. You're 10 years behind. You're so enlightened.
All right. I guess if you guys don't mind, I'll try to redeem myself. If I can't redeem myself, then I'm retiring from magic.
from mind reading.
From mind reading. I'm gonna retire from mind reading. Okay. I got it. All right. I'm gonna read your mind and then I'll explain it. All right. For the people that want to follow along, again, it's gonna be a little bit addition, subtraction. Try to follow along, and I'm gonna be able to read your mind. Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna participate now.
Participate.
Yeah,
Okay.
just to make sure.
So you two, I'm gonna read your mind. Okay. From 1 through 10. All right. Think of a number. Right. You have the number, right? Just keep it in your mind.
Look over
Right?
there.
No.
No, I know, but for anybody that doesn't want to participate, they know where I started.
Yeah. All right. So think of a number from 1 through 10, right? Keep it in your mind, right? Okay. Now multiply that number by 2. You multiplied it by 2, right? Okay. Now add 4. Okay. You added 4. Okay. Now divide that number by 2. Okay. Now subtract the number you thought of from that. Okay. Subtract the number you thought of from that. Now add 10 to that. And if you did your math correctly, you should end up with 12. You should end up with 12. So for those of you who follow that, again, for the people that watch the recording of that, yes, 12, Angela. Yeah, you should have ended up with 12. Exactly. Yeah, kind of like brain farted earlier. I don't know why. I guess I was just kind of put on the spot and my brain just fucking went blank. That was funny. That was kind of embarrassing. I'm not going to lie. I'm glad I was able to redeem myself. So if you guys want to know how that works, it's very simple. So again, it's just mathematical algorithm. It has nothing to do with actual, reading your mind. It's literally just controlling the numbers, So the way it works is, it doesn't matter what number you think of from 1 to 10. Let's say I say it's 8. Let's say I thought of 8, right? I multiply that by 2. I get 16, right? Now, this next number is the key number. So whatever number I'm going to say next, whatever number I'm going to say next, I'm going to be left with half of that number. So once you have a number 8, for example, you multiply that times 2, you have 16. Let's say I say add 6 to that number now. You're going to be left with 3, half of that. So if I say add 6, 18 plus 6 is 24, right? Now, when you divide 24 by 2, you're going to be left with 12, right? Now, subtract the original number you thought of, which was 8. Wait. 8, 16, and add 6. Oh, I did the math wrong. It was 22 instead of 24. So 8 times 2, it's 16. Then I said add 6. That's 22. My bad. Then you cut that number in half, that's 11. Then you subtract the original number, which was 8, you're left with 3. Again, because I added 6, you're going to be left with half of that, which was 3. That's how you control the number. It doesn't matter what number you thought of. When you double it, then you add a 6, and then you divide it, and then subtract the original number you thought of, you're always going to be left with 3. Now, if you multiply times 2, and I say add 8, when I divide it and subtract the original number you thought, you're going to be left with 4. What's half of 8? It's 4. Doesn't matter what number you thought of first. Again, it's a mathematical algorithm. So again, I could have said 4, add 4. When you divide and subtract the original number, you're going to be left with 2. Now, what you do is, once you're left with that number that you control, then you could just add any number at that point. You can add 8, 9, 10, 11. Doesn't matter what you add. You already know the number you ended up with. So whatever number you add after, it's going to be the same number everybody has. So it's literally that simple. It's just a mathematical algorithm that can be used to sway like a child to make them think that you can read their mind, at the end of the day. So again, it's just mathematical algorithms to control the outcome of the answer. So it's literally that simple. So yeah, I kind of fucked up in the beginning, but
yeah, really bad. We spent like 20 minutes on that.
I don't know. I don't know what the fuck happened. I overthought it, and then my brain just fucking shut off.
I think because you were just put on the spot, you hadn't done it.
No, it's because I didn't think about it. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of thinking about it after that, and that's why I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to redeem myself because I kind of got it now. And yeah, it's literally that simple. Again, you get a number, whatever number it is, multiply it times 2. The next number you add, again, it's gonna be half of that number where you're gonna be left with once you divide it by 2 and subtract the original number. Once you're left with that number, which is half of what you added, then you could just add any number. You're gonna get the same answer as everybody. So yeah.
Wait, was that first part in this stream or the first one?
No, it was in this stream, so
Oh.
everyone's gonna see that.
You don't get to delete that one.
That's fine. It's cool. You know, I'm human. You know, I can admit my mistakes.
The trolls are gonna have a field day.
That's cool. You know, again, I'm human. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to redeem myself before going. You know, so.
I'm glad you remember.
No, yeah, it's easy. It's just that I don't know what the fuck happened.
You've done it plenty.
Yeah.
It's, again.
Not plenty, but you know,
Sure.
just kind of brain fart. And I used to do that when I was. I remember learning it when I was like 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was around the time we got together. I remember that's when I first learned it. Yeah, so fuck, that was 17 years ago.
I know.
Fuck.
I'm gonna be 34.
And I literally just remembered how long ago, like a couple of days. I was like, oh
You
shit.
did it to me like a week ago.
A week ago, right? And that was the only time I did it. And then right now I try to do it and then just brain farting.
Yeah, but you got it right.
No, yeah, I redeemed myself, I guess, but
Exactly, though. You made a mistake. That means the earth doesn't move. That's how it is, though.
I know. That's literally the logic. There, you see, I made a mistake. So the earth is a globe. The earth doesn't move up. So
So silly.
yeah. So all right, we're gonna end up calling it now, and yeah. Appreciate everyone, you know, that showed up, and everybody that watches the videos and shares them and likes them, and really do appreciate it. And in the next video, I will be going over to my reasoning to why I don't, you know, my claim that the earth is not moving in a straight line. So based on the tides and based on accelerometers. So again, I'm going to go through that in the next video, if anything, to why I think the earth is not moving in a straight line and it's part of a cycle. Like, you know, it's not moving in a straight line through infinite space, which again is still possible at the end of the day. Nobody has the right to claim what is possible outside of the earth and what is not. So, but again, in my opinion, the earth is not moving in a perfectly straight line. So again, I'll go over that in the next video. So again, thanks again for everyone that showed up, and we'll see you guys on the next one. And I guess Happy New Year.
Yeah. Remember, the way we progress is by talking to new people about it, you know, passing out flyers, you know. Well, Dave Sims is trying to join the chat.
Oh man. I guess let me add, and we'll have a little chat with this Dave Sims real quick.
What up,
Hey,
guys?
What's up?
Hey, none of that was meant to be as like any, like I wasn't trying to troll or anything like that. And I'm laying here in bed. That's why I didn't want to get on. But listen, I appreciate the work that you do. But I guess what I'm trying to say is sometimes there's certain things that we are never going to know the inner workings of, you know, and that's just what it comes down to. That's what I'm saying. Maybe it's a little extreme when I said it's a fruitless pursuit, because I guess what I'm saying is there's different ways that we could go about with activism that could help the community in different ways. And I appreciate that you guys going out there and being active in what you do and trying to open up people's minds. But I guess what I'm trying to say is sometimes there's certain things in life that we're just never going to know. And sometimes, you know, we're just subjective pockets of consciousness that are living here and trying to take in this realm for what it is. And sometimes just appreciating what it is without trying to figure out the inner workings is maybe a better way to live life. That's all I'm trying to say.
Sure. I guess let me ask you, do you claim the earth is flat, or do you believe the earth is flat? Like,
I mean,
what's your stance?
Yeah, I mean, 2015, that's where I got, that's my beginnings of this, with watching Eric Dubay interviews and stuff like that. So, I mean, I was totally into it for a long time. And 2017 is when I sort of came to the realization that we're never going to know. And I would do sunrise and sunset videos based on the claims of what a lot of the quote unquote leaders in the movement were saying. And I would go out and do these observations and experiments and realize that what they're saying is not accurate and it's not true. And so that's when I sort of had a different opinion about it after doing it myself. You know, so when I see you going out there and actually being proactive in what you're doing, I respect that big time. But I think there's a lot of people that just take people's words for things without actually going out and doing it. And so when I went out and did it myself, a lot of these early experiments, I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't what Eric Dubay said it would do, or this isn't what David Weiss said the sun would do once it hits the horizon line. And no, it doesn't shrink into a little dot. And no, it doesn't sit at the horizon line, because when I zoom in with my P900 camera, it's doing the exact opposite. So, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, I would like to take the time to maybe have like a real in-depth conversation with you one of these days, but I was just going to bed. That's why I didn't want to click the link. But then I felt bad how we ended, so I figured I would at least try to clarify to you guys. You know.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on and actually having the guts to come on. A lot of people don't, so appreciate that. Like respect that at least. But what you mentioned there was all observations. You're talking about the sunrise and sunset and P900 zooming in and all that. All of those are just observations, which I agree are inconclusive. I'm not going to tell you anything. And Eric Dubay and people that push these, in my opinion, again, whether deliberate or not, they are muddying the waters. So they are turning a lot of people off. So maybe you were just one of those people that was turned off by it, and maybe, oh man, it can't be proven because these are inconclusive, which I agree. And I avoid those observations, and I avoid NASA clips, and I avoid the TFE and all of this bullshit, because none of that has to do with physics. If you want to prove the physicality of this world and the dimensions of this world physically, then we do that by understanding cause and effect and how physics, actually,
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Works.
And I'm totally behind the whole. I mean, everything what you just said is spot on. But I do think there's certain laws, so, like the laws of physics are things that just are. Sort of like how I was mentioning, like fire is hot. It's one of those things that we don't know why it was created that way. It just is that way. And so but I'm all about the scientific method. With first you have to observe something, but then you have to test it, verify it, repeat it. And it's got to be falsifiable in order to follow the scientific method. So if you're right, by making just an observation, it doesn't actually follow the scientific method. So I'm behind what you guys are saying there 100%.
No, yeah. At the end of the day, again, like I said earlier, people that just focus on observation, which a lot of mainstream channels do. Again, Eric is one of those channels. Hate to say it, because I did come across this whole flat Earth through Eric Dubay. Was one of the first ones that I watched, and I hate to say it, but I was a fan of Eric Dubay too. I used to share his channel. If you go to some of my first videos, I literally shared his channel to everyone that I would talk to. And eventually, when I came across the motion of the Earth, the physics that backs it up, and I realized that, holy shit, this debunks the whole heliocentric model without even having to look at anything else. And knowing that all of these motionless flat earthers go against it, kind of like just like was a realization for me, like, that, oh shit, this whole community is infiltrated, with a bunch of shills, in my opinion, so at the end of the day, again, I don't trust anyone. I trust my own discernment. I trust my common sense and what I can prove to myself, by, being able to recreate cause and effect and understanding physics for myself. Again, at the end of the day, that's what's going to show you what's real and what's not.
Right. I'm with you. And listen, when I mentioned the movie, Groundhog Day, I just happened to watch it the other day. All I'm saying, it's a great movie. And it like made me think about the important things in life. And sometimes the important things in life are bettering yourself, bettering your community, being around family, and all that kind of stuff. So I was just saying that as just a reminder to all of us. Like, I know sometimes we could go down the rabbit hole with all this stuff, but sometimes when we get out of it every once in a while and just go out, take a walk, or help go to a homeless shelter or something like that, that's the real stuff too. So what you're doing is great. And but yeah, I just saw that movie, so just threw that in there. It's just like a reminder to all of us to just be the best versions of ourselves.
No, and I was kind of trolling you too, nothing personal, just
yeah, no, it's all good.
You change a little bit, nothing personal, so yeah, no, I appreciate it. And in the future, if you ever want to, join the stream, you're welcome, and, we can have a chat. And, you seem like a really reasonable guy, you don't, the fact that you don't just go with, baseless claims. You don't just believe baseless claims, that shows some discernment, which is admirable. So,
right. Well, as with you as well. So again, thanks again. I just wanted to log on, say, sorry about the misunderstanding, and
No worries,
thanks
man.
again for what you do, for sure.
Yeah, no hard feelings, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care, you guys.
Take care, man. You have a good night. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Good night.
Yeah, all right, man.
But yeah, obviously, doing what you can is optimal. I mean, we spent a lot of time growing up with, groups that help the community and all that stuff too, but obviously this helps everybody, not just your local communities.
Mhm.
This objective truth helps everyone, everywhere, not just in your local communities.
Yeah. So to be honest, at the end of the day, I do know what he meant. Like when he was talking about, like, go to a homeless shelter, try to help. Look, part of the reason why I go and do activism is because I want everybody to have a better life. The reason why everybody's living so, constrained, is because we just believe everything we're told. At the end of the day. So if people were equipped with the tools of discernment, for example, and be able to think for themselves, then life will be better for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that a lot of people do go to homeless shelters, they give out food to the homeless, and all of this. And I would say that it is help, obviously, but it's not getting to the root of the issues. So you're kind of like just trying to like
cover a symptom,
when
rather
than cure the disease.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what hospitals do. Again, they give you a quick fix. That's what this is. When people go out and try to help the homeless and stuff like, which is not a bad thing, but it's a quick fix that's not gonna go nowhere. At the end of the day, it's not really gonna help someone in the long run. So it is gonna help them in the moment, but at the end of the day, most of the people are just gonna end up back where they started again. And again, this hierarchy system that we live in, where you have very, very, very rich people, that can only work if you have very, very poor people as well. And again, poor and rich are just ideas based on the economy, which is also an idea, which is not real. It's all exists in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, it goes back to people just believing what they're told. So if we could break through these beliefs, for example, of the economic system, then we break all of these ideas of people being rich and people being poor. Poor shouldn't even exist. It shouldn't even be a thing. People being poor, people being homeless, all of these things, they shouldn't even exist. That just shows that this is just symptoms of the dysfunctional society we live in.
How do we have millionaires and billionaires and then people starving?
Exactly.
It just doesn't make sense.
Exactly. It's because it's just an idea that people are buying into because they're not thinking. So again, if you truly want to help your community, if you truly want to help those in need, if you truly want to help the homeless, and then do it by spreading truth, objective truth about this reality. Trust me, understanding reality, for example, that the earth is not a globe and we're just not an accident, that this place was created, that we do have a purpose, the fact that, literally food grows and food resources, everything literally grows from the ground. Materials, everything that we use to build homes, to grow food, everything just grows from the ground. People understanding that we wouldn't be part of this fucking stupid ass system that's just there to keep us down. Over 90% of jobs are obsolete, and by that I mean that they don't benefit anyone. Think about it. Over 90% of jobs out there right now are obsolete, especially all the CEO jobs, all the retail jobs, all these jobs, even my job that I do, they're irrelevant at the end of the day. If we work to make life easier for ourselves, then we should work directly for what we want. Work the land ourselves, do things locally, do things in the community level, eliminate the economy, which is what's keeping us down. Again, this imaginary fucking currency with an imaginary $50 trillion debt currency that's never going to get paid off, and we're only going to get deeper and deeper into debt, and everything's only going to get worse. That's not a solution. And trying to fix symptoms within that system is not going to get us nowhere. Again, they're just temporary fixes, that are not going to get to the root of the fucking disease, which is fucking just blindly, having blind faith, which at the end of the day is the root of all the issues we have here. People literally just having blind faith in other human beings, So yeah, we'll leave it at that. You want to say something else?
No, it's just about like, about being him saying, we gotta all like try to be the best person. Well, this lie, actually waking up to this lie actually indirectly makes you a better person, because you come to the realization that this place is a creation, and if and just based on that alone, you start to think about what you're doing, what you're consuming, how you behave, all of those things just like make more sense, and you pay attention to more, knowing that this is what it's meant to be, and this wasn't an accident, and this is a design of some sort. We don't need to know by who or what to know that that's the case. I mean, food grows from the ground. Everything you need to survive comes from the land already. So yeah, it indirectly makes you a better person.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll leave it at that, and I guess we'll see you guys on the next one. I mean, we're already about to like call it, but then what was it, David? What's his name? Dave called in, and just might as well let him on. It would have been dumb to just end it when we'd seen him pop up. So yeah.
The trolls pop in last second
I
every
know,
time. But
that's
it is
true.
not a rising disc. I agree.
Yeah, it's not a disc. Nobody knows what it is, but it is pushing up. That's for sure. But it's not a disc. So. So yeah, I guess
Good
we'll call it. So
good morning.
Yeah. Hope you all
wherever
take
you
care,
are.
and
Happy New Year and all the fun stuff.
Yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one.
See you.
So late.